There are a lot of weapon types in Final Fantasy V, and very few of them are shared between jobs. If you watched my weapon ranking video, you might recall that all of the multi-job weapon types and katana were top tier, and everything else just gets worse from there. So, food for thought. What if I only use the unique weapon types? No swords, no knives, rods or staves, no boomerang or twin lance, not even shield, just because fuck it. I can only use the weapons on the respective job, so no giving equip axes to my knights or anything. I'll be doing 4-job fiesta rules, so I can only have duplicate jobs if I have no choice, but I will allow fists to be the monk weapon, because otherwise this run can't really start. I won't have a knight sword for a while, none of the mages have unique weapons, and thief is out of luck because of ninja. Not like I get a boomerang for a while anyway. Don't expect monk to stick around for very long though. This is just a small concession before we get the really cool jobs like Beastmaster and Dragoon. Also, I'm pretending the Gladiator doesn't exist. It can use knight swords and bows, but that's fanfiction shit. The beginning of this run is identical to the other runs that I've started with Monk in, just focus punching bosses until I get enough lucky crits to not get steamrolled by Garula, and I get Berserker. What with the Water Crystal being 80% magic jobs, that means absolutely none of them are usable, meaning the vast majority of viable jobs are from the latter half of the crystals, which is kinda weird to think about. With my rules, that also means that I can't just slap equip axes on everyone and go to town with 4 death scythes for any moderately annoying boss, but I'm okay with it because it means better variety, and it means I don't have to grind on Crescent for an hour save stating. I came into Liquid Flame with no real plan, since my meager potion healing would not be able to keep up with his blazes and Fyras. Ninja having boomerang access means no thief, which means no early high potions for me, so my strategy was nothing more simple than start swinging and hope he dies first. I got no random crits, since my luck seemed to have gotten absorbed by the Berserker actually getting decent damage rolls, but the early focuses did mean I got countered much less than I would have otherwise. So you know, as far as no strategies go, this one could have gone significantly worse. While I escape the castle, I'll just say this up front, I'm going full Brave Blade this time around, because you know, I might as well, right? This is more than likely the first and only time I'll ever do something like this, so might as well get as much use out of Night Swords as I can, but goddamn, some of those late game encounters suck to do. I'm so used to using whatever method I can to run from every encounter past the 2/3 mark that actually having to engage with the combat with the Rift enemies was surprisingly challenging, especially with no good healing. I've got no magic of any kind, just pockets full of potions and a regen song. Also, Ironclaw gets decimated by my stampeding party, not a big surprise there. Now that the castle is gone, that means this guy shows up in the Karnak shops, and he sells kunai, so hello ninja. While I can't take advantage of smoke because of, you know, the Brave Blade thing, the ninja is still an extremely overpowered job. Just like the no EXP, no ABP run, ninja and bard are pretty solidly the MVPs, although the gap is much narrower. Melee jobs are actually good in this run because the only magic job I have is Geomancer. So, I guess rather than narrowing the gap, they just shot the other side of the tug-of-war. I decided to just cheat during Ifrit and throw some shurikens to take out 2/3 of his health, then just mash the attack button until he gives up. And you better appreciate the Geomancer while it's around. It does get some love against Bibulus since its only attack right now is a fire one, and it gets heavy use with throw because of its decent magic stat, but it eventually falls to the wayside similar to a regular game of Final Fantasy V. I do try to cheese with the page 32 banish, but since the accuracy is super low, I only tried it the one time and just fight him legitimately. He's vulnerable to paralyze, which is cool. It means the Beastmaster isn't a total waste to bring, and he gets stuck for a while since he's not heavy. If you think I'm fighting Sandworm without Aqua Breath, you're crazy. Also, can I just say, the Bio Soldiers are a weirdly punishing enemy for this game. Encounters are typically pretty easy, most people would agree with that. You can get away with mashing just attack for a large portion of the game, but these dudes can just decide to obliterate you if you're unlucky enough to trigger their full party bio counter. Bio is a spell you can't even get till World 2, so this guy just being on the story path can really sidewinder the shit out of you if you're not ready for it. Embarrassingly, I don't have any Thunder Scrolls for Crayclaw, but I do have a bear, which is about just as good. Also, while I was farming for a Death Scythe, this happened. I don't think I'll ever get this luck ever again. It's kinda cruel in a way. But I do some black flame grinding, put the scythe to use, and if you need a good demonstration on how even a decent magic stat can impact throw, here you go. Likewise, the soul cannon can't really stop 2 scroll throwers, especially if one of them is hitting the damage of 2 people by themselves, so it goes down before ever firing the cannon. It's interesting that Geomancer is really good during this boss, since in isolation, the soul cannon is its worst matchup, but this run has the exact combination of things to make it good, being that it's my best magic job and I have throw. There's not many runs where that niche can be filled. Since I have Stop Song now, this makes Bard necessary for most every fight if I want to fully commit to the hold down the confirm button for all encounters strategy, if you can call that a strategy anyway. Archaeoavis, I have no shame. Do just under 1600 damage, Aegir Sap. Deep down, my soul wants to shit-talk the Beastmaster, but I know I can't. Catch and control are just too good. Purobolos gets destroyed by the Ninja and Bard, and yes, Geomancer is making another appearance. Manticore I went in wanting to Death Scythe, but he too is stopped by the song, so I end up just shredding it like a normal boss. Titan, same thing. My big damage dealers are here to bring the almost 4-digit damage in full force, and somehow everyone stayed alive. Already in World 2, Gilgamesh I decided to be a little more cheeky with my catch, since I can't do any kind of mute cheese here. The first half of the fight goes as normal, just hitting him with big damage numbers, but once he does his midway buffs, I release a big spider from Exdeath's castle to inflict slow. I still do half damage because of Protect and Shell, but realistically the haste is always the bigger deal, and it's a good thing for the player that not very many bosses abuse it. I can't really think of many that do, actually. Siren does it, but it goes away when she changes forms. Gilgamesh does it here in the most effective enemy use in the game. Apparently World 2 Exdeath does it if you slow him, but I'm not about to experiment to try it out. And Califisteria will do it as one of her buffs she reflects off of you, but if she does that, she spends more than half her turns uselessly buffing herself, which actually makes the fight easier. I'm sure there's more, but for how powerful haste and slow are, they're really underutilized on the enemy side. Dragon Pod gets dispatched in the way you're probably expecting, but even if I didn't have the Reaper on my side, my follow-up strategy would just be abuse Kick. This fight is definitely where Kick shines the most, doing just barely above the 100 HP threshold of the Tiny Flowers. But I've also been trying to avoid Monk stuff just in case people would consider that foul play. Like I established, I only used Monk early on as a way to get the run started, but I wanted to try and segue towards the jobs with definitively unique weapons. I was pretty sure that Monk wouldn't have any crazy abilities that would be required later on, and well, yeah, obviously. My fight against Gilgamesh was not too lucky this time around. Not that this fight ended up being difficult, but the Berserker was only interested in damage dealing this time around. Plus he got slowed. That sucks, but that's what I get for shit-talking enemy time magic. I do remember that Enkidu isn't heavy though, which means the harp can actually do something to a boss. But if this damage is considered exceptional for harp damage, that's very sad. Between the Berserker high rolling, samurai crits, and even the occasional wind slash from the katana, they go down with no problem. I think I'm using the killer bow here because Gilgamesh didn't do his speech before escaping. Wish that could have happened a little bit sooner. This red dragon is hiding something important, my first Night Sword, meaning I can finally use one of the jobs I got 30 minutes into the game. The Blood Sword is pretty infamously inaccurate, but I have access to aim, which is why I've been having Bart's on Ranger for a bit. Aim does have a little delay before attacking, but I'll take a slightly slower attack speed in return for practical immortality. Plus double grip, oh boy. Dual wield is more generally useful, but this is way easier to get, and you better believe I'm getting all the fun out of the Brave Blade that I can. This is one of the few times that I fight Atomos the way you're presumably intended to fight him, being to let someone die, wail on him until they're almost sucked in, revive them, wait till another guy dies, wail on him some more, until his massive HP pool is finally gone. The biggest annoyance of the fight is that he'll still hit you with the occasional Sloga or Gravity, and if that Sloga goes off, you might as well reset unless you want to spend a bunch of time throwing Phoenix Downs to dispel it. It's not like I have haste here as a countermeasure. Doing things this way isn't the worst ever, especially with the agility song, but again, that slow can really screw you over. Too bad slow can't be put on dead people to slow their crawl towards the void. I guess that'd be weird, though. In retrospect, though, I really should have just used Gaia. I think I forgot about them because of a large gap in recording sessions. Food for thought if anyone else does this run, if you hate magic that much. Walking through Guido's cave is, without hyperbole, about 100,000 times longer than usual because the Metamorph just has so much health despite not being a tough enemy whatsoever. But hey, I did get the rare Staff of Light drop. I can't use it, but the Forest of Moor is pretty lucrative with my flame scrolls and remembering to use Gaia, and the crystals are about the same as most runs that have axes and or bows, just with the caveat that I can only try one-shotting with half my party as opposed to everybody. Lena has on Image just because she's not going to be doing anything but throwing items, and Ferris gets insane luck against 3 of the crystals right away. Since I was on a roll, I had the thought of, I can take an Earthshaker, let's go for it, and hey, I was right. Exdeath's Castle is similar to the no EXP AVP run in the sense that the encounters here are really annoying. No fleeing, no magic, just a bunch of swords, throwing scrolls, and praying to stop song. Also, I got the rare Power Staff drop. Now I know that this is malicious intent from the game. The color dragons in the last section of the castle are the real deal. I can use control to try and pacify one of them, but with only one Hypno Crown, failures are inevitable, and those blue dragons especially will destroy me. I game overed so much that I needed to just hope that I didn't get an encounter with them. When a strategy falls back on shrugging my shoulders and running in blind, those shoulders can only hold up so much. Here's another thing that happened often, these black warlocks confusing me. Like here, I was so ready to use the Golem Super Punch to make these guys paste on the wall, but now I'm down 2 people suddenly. Usually those guys just cast a break or something on me, they're actively being dickheads here. Another understated thing that wasn't a problem till now is back attacks. I have a ninja for more preemptive attacks, but no thief means I'll always have a risk of getting fucked up by these guys. A silver lining is that I don't think it happened for the dragons, but even the regular fights will set you back a lot when you have to engage in all fights. Plus, the dragons ended up killing me more often than not anyway, so did it really matter? The Exdeath fight was extremely front-loaded because my plan was mostly just survive until the second half. I've got Speed Song going most of the fight, and I was gambling heavily on animals giving me Nightingale for party healing. Between Earthshaker and Zombie Breath, Exdeath's party damage is pretty ridiculous, so I figure if I get set back to the point where I have to start throwing high potions around, there's a very good chance I'm not going to be able to catch back up. The good thing about this is that my damage is insanely high. The Berserker was hitting in the mid-2000s at a couple points, the Ninja was throwing shurikens and eventually a Fuma Shuriken, and the Beastmaster finished things off with a Blaze Dragon to solidify me not having to deal with the 2 turns thing. Could have been way worse, and my Nightingale luck really paid off near the end there. The Gargoyles, I don't know, just throw scrolls, I guess? Oops. Hell yeah, double grip Brave Blade, baby. I have Requiem, so you know how most of the encounters will go, until I come across Zephyrus, on a back attack no less. She's always been my whatever the opposite of a white whale is, because she has a lot of HP to compare to most everything in the pyramid. But it's pretty easy actually. She summons weak monsters, spends her turns ineffectively buffing them, and with a 4k damage Brave Blade, even high HP monsters get shredded quickly. It's not a fun encounter, but it's not nearly as bad as I've always imagined it being. The mecha heads are the quote-unquote most difficult encounter, realistically, but Thunder Scrolls do a lot, Brave Blade does a lot, and it's even vulnerable to confusion, so that song takes it out for a turn or 2. Nothing in the pyramid is a big deal. I don't have a lot of catches available here, but you know what I do have on the 5 tiles of grasslands right before the forest? A Sleepy. Get owned. Although, I'm the one getting owned actually, because after getting the Thief Knife, I suddenly realize, wait, I can't steal anything. I don't know why it took me this long to realize. It's just weird to have a run where you can't use the most universally good weapon type. During the Wendigo Temple, I come to realize 2 things. First, melee accuracy and enemy evasion are starting to get really annoying. I miss magic. Second, the Brave Blade is so strong that using double grip is actually better than dual wield, which is great. Always nice to see usually suboptimal options get their niche. Although it is better just in terms of raw damage output. We'll get more into that later. Also, goddamn, these birds have way too much health, more than most bosses in the game. I got super lucky with the knight tearing through Wendigo, so this was actually one of the shortest fights against this guy in all of my runs on this channel. The Phoenix Tower is decimated with the Masamune's first action being used for the stop song, and I only had to use more than one elixir and a single magic pot, which is great because I can't use the Wonder Rod even if I had it. My luck came to an abrupt stop in the Fork Tower. My magic is super limited, so getting up that half is difficult, although the physical side is easy enough. Most of my jobs are physical. And again, no flea or smoke, so eventually I just resigned to cheating with the quick save, quick load, encounter, reset, glitch thing. Minotaur was easy. I don't have shields, but the Elven Mantle and Image work great. And I have the Defender now, so free protects. Omniscient, though, I didn't actually come in with a plan. I definitely forgot that the Bell and Gaia are considered physical by this dumb fuck. So I thought, fuck it, I'll just speed up until he runs out of MP. Also, the game crashed. Cool. I'm just doing the backlog buster thing. Fuck it. For a little bit after getting the Rune Axe, I toyed around with using Equip Harps to boost magic, but due to the lack of shields, Double Grip is just better. There's no way that even Summon is going to give the Berserker more than ×2 raw damage. Hey, you know what would be great? Read ahead. Hard to believe I'd be pining for the Oracle, but avoiding encounters is specifically better in this run and in almost no others. Uh-oh, it's Leviathan. Oh wait, I don't give a shit, I have the level song and Double Grip. The party has hit critical mass at this point. Having 2 hero singers and 2 double grippers means it's more than viable to brute force our way through every fight from here on. When your damage starts at 5,000 and goes up rapidly from there, it's hard to get stopped by any conventional boss, and it's even more ridiculous if I only have 1 singer and go 3 damage dealers. Crit damage with the Masamune outdamages everything until they start hitting the damage cap, and that's not a very common occurrence. Hey, a new ally enters the fray. Is that the Dancer of all jobs? Yes, with the power of this stupid knife that no one ever actually uses because why do you get it 2 hours before the game ends? Technically, the Man-Eater fulfills the unique weapon stipulation by only being usable by the Dancer. I don't actually plan on using dance, mind you, but this creates the ideal singer, although I'll get into that in the next fight. I have no good way of reducing or avoiding the wave of holies and flares, with no shell or Aegis shield into my name, so I do just have to face tank those, but the barriers don't have enough HP to resist more than 2 to 3 physical hits before expiring themselves. In this case, the best defense really is a good offense, and boy is my offense good. I should also mention that even though the Double Grip Brave Blade is my best damage, I'm rocking the Brave Blade Defender combo, as I kind of alluded to earlier. The damage is only moderately lower, but in return I get a shield effect and easy access to protect. Anyway, by the time they get to their regular Aga spells, there's only a couple left, and the damage they do is nothing compared to their first impression. Necrophobe flashing everyone, gross, does pose a problem for our party with no magic, so I have to waste a turn using eye drops, and goddamn does this guy hit hard. In retrospect, I should have spammed Protect when there was only 1 barrier left, but my frantic iteming with the Hermes sandals let me clumsily brute force my way through to the end. Definitely not my most graceful showing, and this is a bit of a warning that brute force has suddenly stopped being the answer to everything. Okay, final boss time. There's only one strategy that makes sense to me from here. Gill toss. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, but not really. So I said the Dancer is the ideal singer, and what I meant is that with the ribbon, I have someone who is immune to White Hole and Grand Cross. Since this is the GBA version, being immune to either Petrify or Instant Death is enough to nullify White Hole entirely, which lets me mostly create the ideal scenario for getting stronger through whatever buffing songs while uninterrupted. My levels are greatly inflated from usual due to the oft-repeated Brave Blade thing, so while my HP is good for once, the Dancer still doesn't want to take any vacuum waves that it doesn't have to, or any holies. Actually, nobody wants to take any holies, Jesus. The Defender helps greatly in this fight by being my only way to conventionally use a buff, but the Knight is my best damage dealer, so Bart's having to actually choose choose between putting up a buff that might not matter or slam a guy with 9,000 damage seems like a no-brainer. Unfortunately, my support-addled brain thinks otherwise, so once again we have a fight that lacks optimization. But as I keep reiterating, my white numbers are too high for me to be worried about it. Although, I say that, but this was the hardest fight, no question. And it's from what I'd call the Black Mage problem. Raw damage numbers can only carry you so far. There is a point in this game where being cheeky or cheesy is needed to not get nuked yourself. If you don't have the ability to get past Almagest or protect yourself from it from some way, then you are fucked. Not to mention that even though Krill might be immune to debuffs, nobody else is. Again, no Aegis shields or anything. So bad timing going to the second phase will have me start way too far behind to catch up. And who knows what'll happen during Grand Cross. Sometimes I just get too antsy during the first phase. It just start raining meteors on me, and random damage or not, those hit really hard. While my damage never stopped being amazing, my defense finally caught up to me, sad to say. I do want to offhandedly mention here that I did try to catch a Crystal for Mighty Guard, but without the Excalibur, I don't think it's possible. I thought about doing some weird shit with releasing a sap monster like the Aegir, but I didn't want to backtrack out and even see if it would work or not. If someone else does it, please post a video of it and make fun of me. Ultimately, my best idea came in the form of don't go to Neo too fast, kinda like the no EXP ABP run. I have two singers to buff my speed and levels up quicker. Bartz is there as the protect guy, and Ferris is mostly here for the innate dodge chance and being a backup item user, although the Masamune crits don't hurt. Like I just said, this phase of the fight is very reminiscent of the no EXP AVP run, where it's just a waiting game of letting the bard stand-ins do their thing while I vomit bird feathers and sewing implements around to protect myself. Any turn that Exdeath doesn't white hole is a turn of not iteming, and that's okay with me. The regen is nice too. People have told me that the regen song is a good way to tell when you're at maximum level because the HP gain stops increasing. Haven't actually used that strategy yet, but it sounds good to me. Once I think our stats are beefy enough, I go full on offense with Rapid Fire Samurai and Dual Wield Knight. When the fight against Neo starts, I immediately smack Lena out of it because she is the biggest key to killing Almagest down there. The Fuma Shurikens. Instant max damage dopamine right there, and I bet it's doing considerably above the damage cap. I guess Exdeath realized this too, because right out of the first two, he nukes Lena with an Eroga of all things, and I had to make the quick decision of wasting a turn reviving with the risk of her getting slapped down again, or just going full force and hoping things work out. Exdeath did the insane maneuver of choosing a third option for me and slapping Krill with a super weak physical, meaning she can play revive duty instead. So all three are back in business to kill that segment before anything bad happens. The fight is by no means over, because Grand Cross can still destroy me, but it's 20 times more doable. Krill continues digging in the item menu to spam the magic lamp, and the others do what they do best in the top two segments. I don't think Rapid Fire can hit dummy targets in this version, but honestly, Rapid Fire was more for the first phase than anything. Masamune crits almost hit the damage cap, so it was never gonna be a big deal whatever Fair's second slot was. But getting two crits against one section is a great sight. Grand Cross ended up hitting on a scale of irrelevant to beneficial. Berserk Bartz just makes him even better at what he was already doing, and while old Lena sucks, our levels are already so high that it's hard to bring her back down to something resembling normal level-wise. If anything hit Ferris, I don't know what it was, but by the time Krill gets to the Golem, it's already over. Thousands of damage has been dealt, and that's Final Fantasy V, only using the unique weapons. I have no clue what to make of this run. Dancer making an appearance was cute, in the same way that Dragoon made an appearance in the no EXP ABP run. Hey wait, Dragoon didn't show up in this run. That's funny.